Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for finding out time, creating time to join us for today's session. We'll be talking about salary negotiations, key things to note. And we have the privilege and pleasure of having our own colleague, member, Michael Onarewaju, ACI PM. I've had the privilege of knowing him for a few years now, and he has been of tremendous blessing to me, officially, personally, in the area of HR and other aspects of life, so that we can also have an appreciation of the person who is speaking to us. He has worked in a few organizations. For example, he was HR business partner at Tuara Partners Limited. Also, he was human resource outsourcing officer at Ikeja Electric. He worked as a freelance for Acadia as a recruiter, and has been doing that for a few months now. He also works as a freelance recruiter for Gratitude India. In his 8 to 5, for the last 1 year or more, he has been the compensation and benefit specialist at Dangote. Michael also runs an active LinkedIn profile and page, and he shares information. In fact, it was because of the value and the quality of information he has been sharing on his LinkedIn page that made me reach out to him in this specific instance to say, my brother, do you even mind running a conversation around some of these series? Again, people will be able to ask questions. So we are here today. Thank you for joining us, Michael. We don't take this for granted. Over to you, Michael.
Thank you very much, sir, for the privilege. It's actually a privilege to be talking to HR professionals and also senior colleagues. I started my career not long ago, but I'm privileged to know Mr. Oluyemi and a lot of other people in this platform. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in. Today, I think what brought about the salary negotiation and the things to note were just things I noticed in the industry over the years in working, and most especially when I diverted fully into the compensation and benefit space. Lots of people actually negotiate good salaries. Sorry, can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Please
okay.
Yes.
Okay. I saw someone raising their hands. Okay, so why I decided to pick on this is over the years, I've seen how a lot of people get jobs, and 2 months down the line, they're actually dissatisfied with the job because most of them are always, oh, this is not what I bargained for in terms of my pay. This is not what this is not what we discussed during the interview stage and during the negotiation stage. Or I've seen someone that said, oh, I actually bargained 200,000, and when I saw my salary and I'm actually seeing 110, 120, 130 thereabouts, and that brings satisfaction in the job, and it leads to employees not actually putting their all into the job, and at the end of the day, they end up either resigning or leaving the job or just not even performing, which leads to a decline in the effectiveness of the staff. So today we'll just be talking briefly about the salary negotiation. It's going to be a kind of interactive session because I'll be asking for opinions and questions, as well as no knowledge is lost. So we'll go straight into the session fully. And so we have salaries. What is salaries? So salary is a fixed amount of money paid to an employee at an agreed period of time. So every one of us definitely have worked at a certain point or the other, or most of us are actually currently working, if not all. We all know that salaries is the negotiation, is the agreed amount in which we get at an agreed period. So in your contract, you see, oh, your salary will be paid at probably maybe the 28th of the month. Some people actually collect salary twice in a month, depending on their negotiation with their employer. So fortnightly, monthly, weekly, depending on the way they negotiated with their employer. So that's what salary is basically. So I'm going straight into the business of the day when we talk about the difference between the gross salary and the take-home salary. And if I may ask before delving further, what is gross salary and take-home salary? Are they the same thing from our perspective? Is gross salary and take-home pay, are they the same? We can actually just drop the answers in the chat box or just raise up our hands. I would pick us one after the other. Okay, I can see Deborah saying no. Celia said no. Joyce, two people are raising their hands. You can unmute and talk. Joyce, you can actually unmute and talk. Okay, Joyce is muted. So a lot of people actually said no, and that's very good. That's actually a very good answer. Your take-home pay and your gross salary are different. Your take-home pay and your gross salary, they are not the same, and you need to know that because it is very, very important to differentiate it. So gross salary is actually the figure we derive after totaling all our allowances and benefits. So if you check your offer letter, a lot of companies actually give your gross salary in your offer letter, where they would say, okay, this is the total amount in which we'll pay you either annually or monthly. Some organizations do not even break it down, except you request for it. They can just tell you that, oh, the total salary in which you are going to earn at the end of the year is going to be maybe 5 million gross. Once you see the gross salary, it means that that is your that is the allowances, the benefits and compensation that is due to you, but that is before any deduction is made. So why the take-home salary, which is actually the net salary? I know a lot of people say, oh, my take-home cannot take me home, because it's still part of the negotiation, because maybe your gross salary is reading 200,000 and your net salary is reading 130 or 140. So you see that there are two different things. So net salary is just the amount that an employee takes home after all deductions have been factored. And so as we divulge, as we progress further in this meeting, we shall be seeing the difference between both and with examples. So oftentimes, a lot of employees, most times, new employees, when they receive their first salaries, they kept wondering if that is what they signed up for. Based on my experience, I remember a particular staff coming to meet me back when I was in Dangote, and they were like, "Oh, and Michael, this is not what I negotiated for when I was doing my interview. In fact, I was very, very sure that my salary was so amount of money. This is what you guys are paying me. Why are you guys short paying me? Do you understand?" And they'll just be like, and I'll have to explain to them and start, I'll tell them to bring their offer letters, and I'm going to actually pinpoint each item on the offer letter to make them understand what is in the offer letter. I always advise most recruiters to try as much as possible when your payroll team or your finance team is preparing the offer letters, Just try as much as possible to be explicit so that the incoming employee understands what he or she is signing up for, because most of them do not understand what is a gross pay, what is a net pay. Their own is just that, oh, at the end of the month, oh, let me just collect my salary, let me collect my pay and go to my house. So for instance, some people are expecting something huge and they end up seeing things that cannot take them home. And at the end of the day, it causes disgruntled staff in the organization, because it can be frustrating when you do not receive what you actually plan to receive. So what is a gross income? A gross income comprises of your basic salaries and your allowances. Your basic salary and your allowances. It varies in every organization how they want to structure their gross income, how they want to structure the gross pay, how do they want to structure it on their payroll, how do they want to structure it on the way it appears on the contract. But the three important things that you would see on your contract letter has to be your basic salary, your housing allowance, and your transport allowance. We just shorten it mostly by just calling it BHT. It is very, very important. As HR practitioners as well, we must also know that these three things are like the bedrock of the offer letter. Most times, the basic salary carries a huge amount of the total salaries. So if the salaries is 100%, the basic salary can be carrying about 60% of the total salaries. Then the rest will all be allocated based on how the company structure their income system, their paying system. So we have the housing allowance and we have the transport allowance. Then we have the other things as I categorize them as other allowances. So in some companies, they have utility allowance, they have meal allowance, wardrobe allowance, personal allowance, variable allowance, and the rest. It differs. But one thing you should know that your offer letter should consist of your BHT and other allowances. All these bring about 100% of your allowance. So some companies go as far as adding one-time pay in your offer letters. So you see things like your 13th month allowance, your leave allowance. These are one-off payments. Also, although some organizations embed the leave allowance inside the salary, it is not always advisable, as it doesn't really motivate the staff that when they are either going on leave, they do not get anything, any sort of benefits. So it's more like a benefit to the staff. And all these allowances are actually one-time allowance, except your organization wants to structure it in the sense that maybe they'll pay the leave allowance twice in a year or based on discretion. And note, this particular allowances does not formulate your one-time payment. It doesn't formulate the monthly salary. So you have to watch out for things like this in your monthly salary when you are actually negotiating. It is always very advisable to negotiate with net, but the problem that happens, which I've witnessed, is that some organizations do not really negotiate with net salaries. They do more of gross. And when you are negotiating net with them, they will have to either, if they have a hands-on payroll person or a finance person, they have to be doing back and forth with them for them to get your actual net. So in many situations, or many a times, they just stick with the gross salary, and you will have to be the one deducing how you're going to get which net salaries that you want to. Note this particular thing. In your gross pay, if you see anything such as employer pension, please do not consider it as your pay. It is actually a statutory payment that should be made by your company on your behalf, which is always 10% of your basic housing and transport. They are to pay it statutorily along with your own employee pension and pay it to your pension fund administrator. Or in a situation whereby they impute it as part of your monthly pay. I know about 2 organizations that does this. Don't get confused that you're going to collect that amount in your monthly salary. That amount is not part of your monthly salary. So this is a scenario which I have painted, and I'll be asking questions. I'll be asking us questions from it. So we can just follow through as I'm going through with the questions, with the series. So now there is a particular staff that was employed, Mr. Ifeanyi. So Mr. Ifeanyi was given an offer letter which shows the following breakdown. He was given a total of 304,000 naira as his monthly salary. His basic salary monthly was 100,000. His housing allowance was 55,000. His transport 25, utility 20, wardrobe allowance 20, personal allowance fixed 32,500, variable personal allowance 16,500, leave allowance 13th month, and employer pension. So further criteria that was given in his conditions that was given in his offer letter was, they said this is subject to statutory deductions and a 500 naira CUG charge deductible every month. He was happy, hoping he might receive around 270 to 280,000 at least if the company removed his deductions, and Ade didn't bother to ask about the deductions. As at the 26th of the month, 208,352 naira 54 kobo alert entered into Ade's account, and he wondered why he received that amount. So he went to meet the HR asking for his pay slip and wondering why his take-home pay is low and his gross pay is also different from what is on his offer letter. So the HR gave him his pay slip. So I hope we can all see the pay slip. So he was shared a pay slip, and this was his pay slip showing his gross earning was showing 252,500, and his net pay was showing 208,352 naira. So please, who can point out the issues or where what got amiss in this whole situation? You can either raise up your hand to talk, or you can just type in the chat box. Is there anyone talking?
We have about 60 people on this call. There should be people talking, please. You can raise your hand, we'll unmute you and let you speak. Yetunde has made a comment in the chat box.
Okay, statutory deductions were made. Thank you. Further comments? What are the things that we noticed that were missed in this?
Joyce, you can speak. Joyce.
Okay, thank you. Statutory deductions were made on his gross income. So that's how the pay slip is. Looking at the pay slip, so what he's entitled to as
Yeah.
an employee is
Yeah.
what is written on the left-hand side of the pay slip, and then
Yeah.
his deductions. And after the deductions, the net pay, which is what he's going to take home, is what is shown on the right-hand side of the pay slip. So after
Great.
every deduction.
Hello, Joyce.
I suspect his network.
Okay, I think I'm back now. Okay, yes, Joyce, I was listening, but I have a question. So now that the deductions were made, but we saw that what was showing on his monthly salary. I am Ade now, and I am asking the question that, but when we negotiated 304,000. So why is my total earnings showing 252,500? So that's my question to everybody.
Sorry, good evening.
Good evening.
I think with that, the
There are more
company.
comments on the chat box, sir.
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Yemi. I think the company didn't come straight with this, because when he negotiated 3 something and even the total earning is showing 252, it means something is really wrong somewhere. One, Ade didn't clarify when he gets his offer letter. He didn't get clarification from he himself. Maybe he didn't ask more questions as regards what he got, because there's a difference between you getting a offer letter. I always tell people, check through every hidden messages, every hidden figures, at least so you can ask questions. So I'm sure he didn't ask any question. And when he got what he got, he's still amazed why, even with the total, this is what's it called, 252 is being brought up. So he needs more clarification why he didn't get what he bargained for, even after getting the offer letter.
Thank you very much. I didn't get your name though. I was trying to look for it.
Okay, I'm Yetunde.
Oh, okay. Thank you very much, Yetunde. So you answered very correctly, because Ade did not ask enough questions. I see Vivian raised her hand. Vivian, do you want to talk before we proceed?
Yes, please. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Please proceed, Vivian.
Please proceed.
Okay. Just to add to what the last lady just said, I think I'm in the same dilemma now, and because of that, I haven't accepted the offer yet because of this nitty-gritty. So that I think this meeting is very timely for me, because I'm going to learn a lot from here. And because of that, I've not given them my response yet, if I have accepted the offer or not. Because from what we negotiated, or rather what we discussed during the interview session, I was seeing something totally different when I got the offer letter. And I was like, I have to pen this for now. I've been going back and forth with the HR person. I was like, Monday is my deadline. If I don't get a feedback by Monday, I may not take the offer, because at the end of the day, it's not what I actually bargained during the interview that I'm seeing on the offer letter.
Okay, thank you very much, Vivian.
Yeah.
We'll definitely address everything. Aka Ode is raising his hands. I hope I get it correctly.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so what I observe is that the variable personal allowance, leave allowance, and 13 months and employer pension was not part of the salary. So those ones were something that they would pay them, is the ones off payment that they were going to give to him. And the pension also, I don't know what happened there, but I saw that there was a deduction. So this one maybe is the one that the employee is supposed to pay on his behalf, employer and employee. So this 18, okay, yes, I think this 18,000 should be the employer, and as in the employer's part of payment. They now added it just to boost the figure. So from the variable personal allowance downwards was not added. They are going to be paid to him once. The 18,000 would not be paid. It will be paid to his pension company. 13th month will be paid when it's December. Then the allowance will be paid when it's going on leave. Then I don't know how they're going to pay the 16,000. But from that variable down was not added to his salary. Then even after that, they added the basic housing, transport, and other allowances. they still came back to deduct the pension tax and their CUG deduction. So that's why the salary dropped again from that 252 to 208. So for me, I feel this is clear enough, but because he didn't ask questions, so it's like they deceived him.
Exactly. Thank you very, very much. You actually hit the nail on the spot. So when he got his offer of 304,000 naira, he was so happy. Oh, I've elevated from a salary of 80,000 or 100,000 to a salary of 304,000. And okay, what's come to worse now? I'll be taking home 280,000. Life of a big boy. Let me just start. So he was very, very happy, and he did not take his time to read through his pay. I always advise people to always read their contracts thoroughly. And if they are having any issue, contact an HR person to help them proofread it before they actually go ahead with agreeing. In your offer letter, everything there has a meaning. Every single allowance has a particular meaning or a particular thing, because even in every organization's handbook, they when you get to the compensation aspect of it, they explain everything that has to do with the benefits and the allowances, and is there any percentage that the company is actually handling. They explain everything there. So apparently Ade was supposed to ask a question when he saw variable personal allowance. What does it mean? What does it mean by saying variable personal allowance? Variable personal allowance to the company, what it meant is that the 16,000 naira will be paid every 6 months and not monthly. So he has to have actually done some things. It's actually a company's policy, but it's not on the offer letter. So he actually needs to have met some KPIs before he got the variable personal allowance. So he did not read that particular clause. He did not ask questions, because if it is a company's policy, some organizations will leave it there and not put it on the contract, which is not advisable, because for me, everything needs to be spelled out to the employee before even entering into the organization. It should be spelled out, in fact, in the contract in which is being given to him. So he's being given a variable personal allowance and he doesn't understand it. His leave allowance is a one-off, which he would receive during his anniversary date. His 13th month is to be given to him in December. His employer pension is not supposed to be on this offer letter, because the employer pension is 10% of the basic housing and transport. So that is their part, and his own part is 8% of his basic housing and transport, which brings about the 14,400 that we can actually see in this whole thing. So after we remove the one-off, after we remove this one-off in it, we are now seeing 252,500. That is actually his total earnings. That is actually his total earnings. Then, and that is why when we remove the statutory deductions, now statutory deductions, the name implies it is statutory. It needs to be removed. The payee deductions, the employee pension, the pension are statutory. The CUG deduction is a company's policy. They do CUG deductions in their organization. So you should have also asked a question about that 500 CUG deduction, because it doesn't really understand what it is. I have seen some banks offer letters and it has different layers. So I always advise the person that gets that particular offer letter that, oh, you need to ask them that, oh, what is this? Am I receiving a monthly? Is it quarterly? Is it after a set period of time? So questions like this need to be asked. NHF is actually 2.5% of the basic salary. So that is 2.5% multiplied by 100,000 was how they got the NHF. In some organizations that do NHIS, they might actually be doing an NHIS plan, which is being paid by the employee if the employer is not willing to carry the expenses, and it will also be deducted. So you, as an employee, you need to understand that there are statutory deductions and there are also other deductions that will be taken from the salary. And you also need to understand how it all go about. So moving on, when negotiating salaries, you need to understand that not all companies will negotiate salaries with you based on your net pay. Some will negotiate based on gross salary and you, the prospective employee, need to know how to negotiate well, meaning that you need to know your deductions ahead, if possible. So let's say an organization is offering you, they are asking you that what would you like to be your gross pay? And they're telling you that, oh, I don't want to negotiate. We don't want to negotiate on net salaries. So you're asking that, you're telling them that, okay, I want to earn 500,000. Now you already know, either as the HR practitioner here or as the prospective employee here, that 500,000 naira is not your net pay because they said they are only negotiating on gross pay. And in as much as it is advisable, and we advise HRs going forward that negotiate salaries on net pay, some are still bent on the gross pay. And you cannot say that because they are bent on it now mean that, oh, I'm not taking the job. Oh, it means that I cannot do anything. We all know the situation in which, oh, I might actually need a job right now because I'm not really fully satisfied where I am currently working. And I saw one that can offer me a better pay, and I'm actually moving because of the pay this time. So you need to know how to also negotiate the pay well. So hence, it is important that you know the statutory deductions that will be removed from the gross pay. And also take note of any other deduction based on the company's practice. It is very important so that you don't join and you now start seeing different kinds of deductions in your pay. Anytime you see a deduction on your offer letter, or you see anything that has to do with deductions on your offer letter, please ask questions. It's very important, no matter the number of times that you ask. So we have different statutory deductions that we have. We have the tax, we have the NHF, we have the NHIS. So these are three main statutory deductions that we have in Nigeria, and it is always deducted from our salaries. We also have pension as well, which is also deducted, but pension is deducted and also still paid to your pension fund administrator. So we have tax. So you can actually calculate your tax because this is not a payroll class. I know there was a time payroll class I actually had. So we will not be delving fully into calculation of tax. So for me, I always advise people that are not HR or not compensation and benefits person to go straight to use online payroll calculator. All you just need to do is this: impute your basic, impute your housing, impute your transport allowance. There are boxes where you will impute those figures. Then also impute your other allowances. So the other allowances is when you add up all the other things that you are seeing on the offer letter: the meal allowance, utility allowance, wardrobe allowance. You are adding everything together and you are putting it in the other allowance section. But please don't impute the other allowance unless you are certain about the amount. So in Ade's case, you know, he had variable allowance, he had leave allowance there. If he had added the leave allowance, added the what's it called, added the variable personal allowance and put it in the other allowance column, it will be getting a different result as to what was in his pay slip. So you need to be sure of what your other allowance entails. When you get it, you add it together and you put it in the other allowance column. I think I'll show us a sample before I end. So it's actually www.smepayroll.com/.ng/calculator/tax. Let me see if I can just quickly show us that particular page coming. Okay, just a moment. I want to share the screen. Okay.
Please, if you have any question for our facilitator, kindly drop in the chat box. At the end, we also allow some people to ask questions, so you can raise your hand.
Okay, so can we see my screen now?
Yes, please.
Actually showing. So I'm going to drop the link also in the chat box before guiding us through it, so that we can all have the link and we can use it when we are actually negotiating. Even as HR, we can also use it when. So yes, the online tax, I saw a question. The online tax calculator is applicable irrespective of your state. Yes. So far you are in Nigeria and you are actually, using your tax. Payee is the same anywhere in Nigeria. It is by the federal government. So it is the same, there is no difference. Once you click on the link, it takes you there and you input everything that you see, automatically it brings it out for you. You know your net pay. Basically, from that calculator, you know your net pay. So you can even be putting in your gross and you will get your net pay. That is just how it is basically. I saw a question that also says NHF and NHIS, are they not the same? They are not the same. So NHS is the housing fund, which organizations use and which gives them their employees access to housing mortgage, housing loans in which they will be able to get houses. And the NHIS is actually the health insurance. Most organizations do not use it because we now have HMOs, which came and threw it away out of system. So you won't really see a lot of organizations to using housing funds, but just in case you come across some organizations that uses housing funds, you need to ask enough questions as that. So once you click and you come to the payroll, SME payroll calculator, it brings you to this page. Do you see? So it brings you to this page. Now it is actually following the latest, tax update, which was brought in by the federal government, because there was a new tax law that that became effect in 2021. So it is actually using the latest update. So all you have to do is just to input your basic salary, your housing allowance, your transport allowance. Then you put your pension. Now your pension, you have to calculate it. Because you are calculating employee pension, it is 8%. So 8% of the addition of your basic housing and transport, you have to put it there. Then if your organization is doing NHIS, they need to tell you the plan that you are doing. Probably maybe your plan is 3,000 naira, 5,000 naira per month, or even 500 naira. They need to tell you. Then you can easily calculate your NHF yourself. and your NHF is 2.5% of your basic salary. It's 2.5% of your basic salary. So if you have any other deductions, you put it in the deductions column, the other deductions column, you put it. For all your other allowances, I told you, you add it together and you input it in this column. So let me say, for instance, my other allowances is 18,000 naira. My basic salary is 120,000, and my housing, I leave my housing and transport the same. And all I just need to do is press calculate. Once I press calculate, it brought the total pay, it brought the chargeable income. All these are when we are calculating tax manually. So then it brought in your tax. So you see that you are supposed to be paying a tax of 19,989. Now, this would help you even if you've received your salary, even as you are a staff and you're like, no, I'm not supposed to receive this salary because organizations use different payroll system, maybe Workday, Exceed, SAP. There might be a month where there is an issue on it, but because you don't know how to calculate your tax, you just be, okay, they just increased tax. I don't know how they're doing. Do you get? You just say, okay, that's it. But if you have your tax calculator, you can actually complain and the payroll person will check it and give you a feedback. Then you have your total deductions, then it shows you your net salary. So ahead, you could have gotten your net salary even before you are now, what's it called? Even before you continue, even before you accept the job, you know your net salary. So you know what you're expecting. So that will aid your negotiation. By the time you're seeing that, oh, if you ask for 213,000, your net salary will be around 175,000. You can tell them, no, I don't want 213. I want 300. And you know that, oh, you've seen what your net salary, which is your take-home pay. So that's just that about the tax calculator app. So let me take us back to our slide and we'll round up in a bit. Okay, so then we have the NHF, which is 2.5% multiplied by your basic salary. And we have NHIS, and which someone also said on the group, on the box, that on the chat box, that is now NHIA. So we can also take note of that as we're all learning. And deduction is based on the company's plan. Then all you need to know that your net salary is your gross income, your gross pay, your gross salary, whatever it's called, minus your statutory deduction and any other deduction stated in your contract. Please always look out for this in any offer. Any offer that you get, please make sure that you check it and you read it well so that you would not be disgruntled even before you start your job. Thank you very much, everybody.
So thank you so much, Michael. Let me quickly ask a few questions here. So one of the questions somebody would like to know is that, how do I negotiate my salary? So for example, currently I'm earning 100,000 naira per month, but I think and I believe I'm grossly underpaid. But that is where I work, and I've been earning that 100,000, say, for like 5 years. And I get a new opportunity in another organization. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't work in this new company. Maybe this salary band should be 200 to 300. But because they see I'm currently earning 150 or 100, they now just give a 50% raise to say, oh, we'll give him 50%. Then they give me 150. How can I maybe convince recruiters or convince an interview panel or an organization on how to earn more? This is one question in the mind of a few people on this call. They feel they've underhand for a long time. So even if you double their current salary, it may not place them where they should be. But Some organizations, especially one-man business, who don't have a standard salary scale, who also just want to give you maybe 30% on your current earnings or 20%. What advice or suggestions would you have for anybody in this category? Thank you, our facilitator.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. For people who feel that they are underpaid and undervalued, a lot of people are actually underpaid and undervalued. It's two things. I'll bring it from you as the HR person and also you as the candidate yourself. You as the candidate, speaking first from you as the candidate, you need to make research because some HRs want to cut costs and they feel that, okay, because I have seen practical examples and they'll be like, okay, he's currently earning 100,000. Let's give him 50% increase and make his payment 150,000. You as the person that is actually doing the job, that is actually being interviewed, two things needs to show, and that has to even happen from the interview stage. The value in which you're bringing on board. The value in which you're bringing on board will make you tell an organization that you need 600,000, even though you're earning 100,000 right now, and you will stick at 600,000 and they will give you 600,000. I have seen this practically because they will feel that the experience and your value based off on the interactions that you both had during the interview sessions is so great. It's so great to actually miss it, to actually miss out on you. It means that you're a star candidate. And that way they would reconsider their offer. You would see, in fact, you yourself, you will know from the fact that by the time you reject their first offer, they would come back with a counter offer. So the first one I'll talk about is the value addition, which you need to show. That is during your interview and your negotiation stage. In fact, if they are telling you that, okay, we are offering you 150,000, you can start stating things in which you are bringing on board to reaffirm to them that you are actually a value addition and not just to come and add to the number in the business. Then secondly is to make research. I know because we're in Nigeria, research is not something that is so big in the sense that data are actually limited, but you can actually make research in your own way. I think Glassdoor is now really coming into Nigeria a bit and they are doing a little research. They are bringing up numbers with respect to people in your current grade or the grade you are going to. How much should they be earning? So you can always check Glassdoor. You can always go into the industry and ask, if possible, if you know some people on LinkedIn and you know that they are doing something like that, you can't actually go to them and say, what's your salary? Nobody will actually disclose it because it is a sensitive information. But you can actually meet people and ask based off on research, chat people in that industry, or even chat HRs in that industry and ask them that, okay, what is the salary band for this particular role? Now, even though some organizations might be paying, let me say, for instance, a sales marketing manager, a sales marketing manager is actually maybe in some organizations, they're paying them 700,000 or 500 to 700,000 band. The organization that you are going to might be offering you 300,000, but because you know that, okay, they are within this band, you can actually negotiate better in it. So it is the value addition that you are bringing on board that you are going to take, the value addition, and also the your research. You have to make good research, because if you join and you collect the amount you're paying, I tell you, for instance, I've seen a classic example of a tax manager. He's actually the country head tax manager, and they actually are paying him the same salary with his subordinates, the person that is reporting to him, who is actually like 2 grades below him, and they were paying them the same salary. And for the tax manager, probably because it was coming from a not so big organization. So moving into a big organization, he felt that money was a big leap for him, but that salary was actually low because immediately he joined, due to the fact that it was in the tax industry, so he gets to see salaries. Then he saw the salary of his subordinates, then he became disgruntled on the job and he didn't perform till he was sacked. So please make research, ask questions. You can even, if you know, have links into the organization or you know some staff on LinkedIn, you can always, I always use reference to LinkedIn because that's where you see a lot of professional people. You can always chat somebody, they should give you the salary band. And that is actually how you can get your values worth. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Michael. We have some additional questions here. This one says, must you provide a payslip or bank statement to a potential employer? Must you? Then after you respond, we'll take Rita Babalola for our
question. Okay.
Or comment. Rita, okay, please be on standby.
All right, thank you very much, sir. My stand is do not ask for pay slips. It is actually a bad practice in which we have in Nigeria. Even though everybody give different opinions that different opinions are being given that it's used to vet if the employee is lying or if the employee is saying the truth. It's used to do salary benchmarking and all those stuff. Personally, I believe that all this can be done when the organization actually have standard in place. If the organization do not have standard, then that is when we can start doing all this pay slip and requesting for pay slip. I've seen instances where candidates actually reject for their pay slips to be taken. So it is now dependent on your personal discretion as well, because when you receive the offer, if you do not have any problem with it, you can actually just give it out and you get the business done. But if you actually have if your whole body and soul is telling you not to, please do not. Because for me, I believe that your payslip is your private property. If any organization wants to do a salary benchmark for you, they should just place you on the right grade based on what you're applying for. Because I believe that for every organization, they should have their salary benchmark already. A standard organization has a salary benchmark. They have the lowest amount that they will pay a staff on that particular grade, and they have the highest amount. And if the staff is actually more than that grade, they actually move the staff to the next best grade on that. I know some banks do that, and they move you if they see that, oh, where your salary is at the moment is actually more than it. So a lot of companies say it's for salary benchmarking, which is actually true. They actually use it to actually place you to the right grade. But I also still feel that there is no need, as based off of your conversation and every other thing that you discuss with them, they can actually give you an offer that matches what you want or what is close to what you want. And also, I saw Vivian's question that is saying, in addition to the, I really can't see anymore, but I'll just check. Okay, to add to yesterday's question, employers also ask for you to come along with your current offer letter when inviting you for interview. Please, this is a no-no. Any employer that is asking you to come with your current offer letter, that's a very bad practice. So please do not go to any interview with your offer letter along. It's a very bad practice. Thank you very much.
Okay, so your offer letter is confidential. That is what it's saying in essence. So let's quickly take either comments or questions. Rita Babalola, are you with us?
Okay, yeah. Good evening,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good
Yeah, I
evening.
wanted to add to the part where it said in during salary negotiation, I see it a lot. And when candidate comes for interview, it depends on the confidence that you bring to the table. I've had cause to ask candidates so many times, what is your expectation? And people get fidgeted. They get uncomfortable. And most especially those that are coming from a one-man structure, probably where they've been working in the last 5 years and they started with like a 70K. In between, if you don't leave the organization, what you have are just pay band increases, a 30,000 this year, a 25,000 this year. So at the end of the day, maybe you spend 5 years in the organization, you are still being paid 150. When you get to the point of negotiation, I always tell them, number one, in the last few years, your competencies, your skills, your knowledge and ability has increased. So you see yourself that your self-value has increased. You cannot quantify it. No organization can pay you for that. So you have decided to put a self-worth into your own personality, is your own brand. Okay, so at the point of salary negotiation, you're coming from 150, you are requesting for a 400. Oh, why would I pay you 400, knowing fully well that you are being paid 150? Oh, I have estimated my self-worth, number one. Number two, the knowledge you're going to pay for in the next few years is what you cannot buy, because in between when I started working, I have earned some certification. I have improved myself in mention 2 or 3 major skills that you have that you're bringing to bear. And then number three, I always tell them, they always laugh. According to Maslow's theory, my needs have since improved. My needs have since increased. I've looked at it, cost of living. Then I wasn't married. Now I am married. I have kids. So I have looked at all those computations. And once you stick to your facts, honestly, they will pay you. I have seen it. And I keep on telling candidates, when you get there, don't negotiate below that. I will be angry when I get to the panel of interview and you have decided to discount your self-worth. So I think among us, it also has to do with self-confidence and self-esteem. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Rita. Thank you so much. Next, we take Deborah. Deborah, I don't know if it's a question or a comment.
Okay, so my comment is, I love what Rita said, but however, I always say something, that you cannot remain in the 1990s knowledge and expect to be paid the 2022's salary or the 2020 salary. So many people do not know their worth. Many people do not upskill. So, and you want to earn more. So that goes to the people who are applying for job, who are looking for job. Then now I'm going back to Michael's presentation. He made a comment about people not presenting their pay slip. And what if you are job hunting so hard and you really want to be in this organization and you are saying this is what they want? Would you now say you will not present your pay slip? And again, for HRs that are here that used to use the pay slip to make a verdict on what to pay this person, again, people can lie. So pay slip is not so difficult to forge, again. So you make people hardened and difficult and become criminals because you want a pay slip. So they can adjust a number of things on pay slips. Pay slips are not difficult to process. So if I tell you I'm on for 400 and you're saying you want pay slip, I can make my pay slip 400 and you would enjoy it. And you enjoy the lie, right? Fine. So HR should up their games, and then people applying should upskill, know your words, know what you can actually bring on the table. If you don't have anything to bring on the table, I have a candidate that did an interview, and because the candidate was not so good according to the team, but the salary expectation was what we can pay. So we called the candidates in. Because we called the candidates in, the candidate now said, no, because of the standard of living, I'm changing my mind from what you people and what I've agreed on to. I was like, my director was like, what is he worth? Because in the interview, he's not the best, but because of the pay, we said, let's take him. So now let's consider someone who is very good and pay that high instead. So if you know your worth, if you are really bringing something to the table, then you can negotiate properly. If not, then there's no way you can. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Competencies and ability to negotiate go hand in hand. Let's quickly take Aka Ode, and then we go to OBK Grace. I don't know if it's a question or a comment or both. Quickly, we are rounding up anytime from now. If I have a compelling question, please raise up your hand quickly. Otherwise, we will end with these three. Aka Ode, you have been given the permission to unmute and ask.
Okay, so good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
I have a question and also a contribution, as in I want to just the last lady that spoke, I want to emphasize on something that she said. Okay, so what's the best method for putting up your pay structure on the offer letter? Is it with the net? What's the best way for negotiating salary rather? Is it net or gross? Because I feel it's gross, because those nets, all those your salary, they are not constant. So it will be giving you back and forth, back and forth. So let's know which one is the best to use. Is it net or gross, so that we just stick to it and everybody will be fine. Then secondly, the lady that just finished speaking, she talked about when Michael said you don't go with your pay slip, you don't give anybody your pay slip. It still speaks to desperation. See, if you are desperate to get a job, no matter you take any salary they give you accept any kind of thing. If they tell you to even go and bring your grandfather's birth certificate or land, you go and bring it because you are looking for a job. So that will make you not to even be confident of anything. So know the standard practice. Don't drop pay slip, don't drop it. Don't drop offer letter, don't drop it. If you know your worth, if somebody comes and asks you for something that you even feel, this is my personal information, I don't want to drop it. If you don't drop it, if they need you, they will call you. If they don't need you, they will allow you to go. So you don't have to be desperate. It's not just job, any other thing. Don't be desperate looking for something. People know the standard. They just want to, like she said, maybe they want to pay them like 250 and they say, this person is not collecting much. Let's just give him 100,000 or maybe 150. After a while, the person might get another organization in the next 3 months and will leave you. You have to go back and start recruiting. So why not offer what you think is the normal thing that should be paid? The person will be motivated and will even want to deliver on, because the truth is money motivates. I know there are a lot of things that motivate people, but money will do a very, very great job in motivation. You don't need to talk to me. When the person sees that, these people are paying me even more than what I expect, because I feel before you want to recruit somebody, there should be a standard. Okay, this is the amount. This is our budget for payment. Not because somebody is earning less or you want to now cut costs, you now give a lower salary. Then after 3 months, you are coming back to do the same process all over again. So I think we should have a standard that we use to evaluate all these things so that we will not waste time and move forward. So I would like him to explain what I asked first.
Thank you so much. Over to you, Michael. You may want to respond to her.
Okay, thank you very much. So for negotiating, it is the net salary. For me, negotiate net salary, because net salary is after all deductions. See, for any staff, let's forget this old grammar and all. The main thing is the money they take home.
Sure.
What is my final pay? What is that money that I'll use to buy things for my kids, or I'll use to buy things when I'm actually going? That is actually the salary, because the pension, you are not accessing it for a while until either you are jobless or either you are 50 and above. So you are not you cannot access the pension. So the pension has no value for you for now. Your NHS, it is when you're actually sick that you access it, or you actually need to go to the hospital, or you actually need to treat yourself. That's when you are going to the hospital. So the net salary for me is the basic negotiation tactics. It's the basic thing in which you should be insisting. It is only in situations where they say they cannot. Then when they cannot, and you say, oh, I want to work in this organization, I am desperate to work in this organization, then you have to use those set things. You have to ask questions like, okay, you have to go and check your tax yourself. You have to check if they are doing NHF. You have to ask basic questions so that you will not fall into the trap, because some people will just set trap for you and you will fall. And to the HR people, I would say that for me, I believe that HR needs to start changing. I know HR is actually developing from the way it was in the last few years, and it's actually developed so much now because of a lot of orientations and things that the HR are now being exposed to. So I would advise that HR should also negotiate on net pay. Let the employee know that after all deduction, this is what the employee is taking home. If it is within your bandwidth to increase when the employee say, oh, I want this, please do. If it is not, then you are telling the employee that this is what we can afford, and not trying to play the employee in a hanky-panky situation. Now, for the situation of the fact where we are bringing pay slips and all, it is very, very important, just as a lot of people have said about knowing your worth. You know your worth and you are able to preach your worth, which is the value you are bringing on board. So if you do not have a value that you are bringing on board, then there is no way in which if they tell you that, oh, we want to pay you just 120,000, you will jump at it because you do not know your worth and you do not know what you are bringing. Now, let me tell you, it is getting a job is not that you are actually, it's not only you that is going to benefit. The organization is also going to benefit. It is a trade by barter. You are giving your knowledge and your skills and your ability, and the organization is paying you the value of it. You have to, it is a handshake that has to go through it. So you have to tell the organization, oh, this is the value in which I am bringing. And the organization will say, oh, okay, you're bringing this value. We are going to pay you this amount that you requested. That's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We absolutely have to end this session in the next 7 minutes at the maximum because we have another major session at 7 o'clock. So, Michael, there are some questions on the chat box. Don't respond yet. I have 1 or 2 comments, and then we'll take Yetunde, we'll take Victoria, then we come back to Michael, and we round up. Now, the comment I just want to quickly give is that please always read your offer letter. A lot of people, either due to the excitement of just getting a new appointment or just getting a job after a long while of search, they don't check it. Yes, a lot of people also get the offer letter, maybe it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 page document, and just go to the figure, read every sentence. I'm almost tempted to say, get a second person to help you read it. If you have a lawyer, personal lawyer, family lawyer, something, don't be shy. I'll give one quick example before we go over to here today. Just last week on the HR mentorship group, somebody got 2 offers. So because she got 2 offers, she now wanted counsel, shared in confidence the 2 offers with me. Now, she told me her preference. One of the offers, now pay attention, while the money was okay, please pay attention to what I'm about to say. For the notice period, the company will give her 1 month notice if they want to let her go, or 1 month basic in lieu of notice. However, if she wanted to go, she will give 3 months notice or 3 months basic in lieu of notice. Ladies and gentlemen, does that sound balanced to you? They put it in the contract. They will give her only 1 more notice, while she must give 3 months. She didn't spot it. She was just looking at the money. And I told her that, look, send a mail to them to equalize this. They should either do 3 months for both parties or 1 month for both parties. It is unfair and unjust to give somebody 3 months to one party and the other party 1 month. So my problem was not whether it was 1 month or 3 months. My concern is it must be equal. In other words, equity, parity. So I just wanted to drop that. It may help somebody. Yetunde, 2 minutes. Your comments or questions or a combination of the two. Thank you, Yetunde. Then we'll come to
thank
Victoria.
you. I will try to use that 2 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Michael, for this session. Just like I always tell people, don't negotiate on gross, but net. I personally, whenever I'm interviewing candidates, I deliberately ask them, what is your net expectation? Because I don't want it to be in the next few, you'll be telling me this, that, and all that. You know, I don't want to have issues, because company issues enough, not to now start adding candidate issue. So I always ask them, what is your net expectation? Apparently, excuse me, madam. Apparently, sorry for that. I interviewed a candidate recently, and I was asking what his salary expectation was, and he's telling me 1M. And I was like, okay, 1 million naira for what? As in, he was even telling me, okay, I can come down to 700. And the next he was telling me, okay, madam, pay 550. I was like, are we buying market? What are we, I don't get. Apparently, his current pay is around, I think, 200 or so. So I always tell you, please make a reasonable negotiation. And don't just lose opportunity because you want to earn exorbitant, you want to earn so large. I remember when I was transitioning, I have a budget on my head. There's not any other thing that you can offer me that I will take. Because one, I have 2 children, and they will tell me, mommy, I want this, I want that. That's responsibility on his own. So I know what I want. And when I went for the interview, as someone transitioning, I gave like 5 times of what I was collecting at that moment. And the MD was like, wow, madam, why? I didn't bother giving any history. I just let him know that, sir, the current food rate has changed. Economy is not smiling again. And the man was looking at me like, this madam came with seriousness. And guess what? I got the job because I let him know that the economy, forget any money you give me now, you want me to run away in the next 1 month. I told him that. And I'm sure he reasoned like, okay, yes, we have to put the economy in consideration, anything we're doing. So people are making negotiation, not because you are timid or you are desperate and you go for anything. It's not possible you will collect a salary of 30,000 and you're using 25,000 as transport fare. Forget it, you won't survive on that job. So please negotiate well, negotiate on net. In short, make it clear to the person that is recruiting that, please, after all deduction, because I made it clear, so that maybe you don't know what net is. I let you know net, after all deduction, I don't want to know anything you're deducting for. I don't care the deduction, but my take home must be this. So please, thank you, Mr. Michael, once again. I appreciate this class.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm here today. So who next? Who else has, before I just answer a particular question I saw?
Yes. Okay, good evening, Mr. Michael.
Good
Sorry,
evening.
I think he has dropped. Okay, so my point is, thank you very much. But what's the place of the real wage in all of this? Because for me, when I'm negotiating with an employer, even my current employer, I remembered when salary was increased, this because we increase salary every year, first month or second month of every year. And then after they increased my salary, they just started bringing different, feeling like they've increased my wage and all. And there was an issue with my manager. And then she was like, well, we're increasing your salary. This is what you were earning when you came in. This is what you were earning. And then I broke it down for her. Ma, this is how much I'm able to save when I joined your company. This is the amount you are paying me, but this is my real wage. Your real wage is how much you have after that net pay. You are going to remove the cost of transportation. You are going to remove the cost of feeding. You are going to take care of yourself. As a woman, there are some things you buy monthly that you have to get for yourself. What you have left is your real wage. Let's calculate it. By the time you calculate all of this, most of us have nothing left. So this is what I use to negotiate with any employer. So by the time I broke it down to her and let her know that this is how much, currently I'm even saving lower than I am saving when I joined your company. And I was getting lesser, but everything has increased. Salary, the cost of transportation now then is now double, if not triple. The cost of ordinary sardine then was 200 naira. Now it is 600 naira, triple. So when you are negotiating, like if I'm going for interview, I already calculate how much it costs me to get there. How much is going to cost me to get there every month? How much is it cost me normally now to spend for myself? Now I will take it from how much I want them to pay me and tell them, by the time they're asking me, why should we pay you this? I'm telling you, from this is going to be my real wage. So I think we should also focus on real wage, because most of these HRs and employers feel like that money they are paying us is big. By the time you let them know what your real wage is, they will know that they're not actually paying anything, because most of us are left with little by the time at the end of the month. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Michael, your closing remarks, Michael.
Yes, so thank you very much, everybody. I just want us to know, and I would add a little bit to the real wage aspect, that in salary negotiation, let us factor our skills, because our skills is what gives us an edge in negotiating. Our skills, our behaviors, and our abilities. Everything, our knowledge, skills, and abilities is what would give us an edge in negotiating. Because if you cannot convince me as a prospective employee that you can give me the value that I need, and you come and you are calling a salary, even if you have factored your real wage, there's no way the interviewer or the employer would actually hire you. So let's build the skills, build our abilities, and as well, and as Mr. William rightly mentioned, please read your offer letters, read every single thing line by line. Be very inquisitive when it has to deal with your offer letters and negotiate on pay, on net pay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Michael Olariwaju. I'm going to allow fellow Aziz to talk. Just before I do that, I'd like to recognize
Hello?
a few people. If I don't recognize you, don't be annoyed. Please, I just like recognizing a few people. I see one of our senior members here, Osato Gbede. Thank you so much for the member. Adiola Depiba, thank you, value, and we appreciate you. I also see distinguished Toastmaster Femi Olejo. Thank you so much, sir. I believe he's also a fellow now, if not, we'll process his fellow this year. So many other senior persons in the house. We have another session by 7 p.m. I'll recirculate the flyers anytime from now. We'll take our father, our leader, Ola Aziz, PhD, and we close out. So, Dr. Ola Aziz, you are sharing the grace in addition to your final thoughts. Thank you so much, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you. I was muted before.
Yes,
I
sir.
must, let me first of all thank the organizers for lending hands and also for helping upcoming HR leaders, for also helping non-HR practitioners to actually get in touch with basic and fundamentals of HR that individual need to make a career, a fulfilled career, a successful career. Let me sincerely thank today's guest speaker. He has made the presentation so very simple. It's like HR for non-HR, salary negotiation as the topic of the day. I could see that some people are bringing emotion when it comes to negotiation. Salary administration is not about helping you to solve your problem. You are part of input. You are part of resources that the organization pay for as an investment, which they are expecting return on the investment. It is not something that is so simple, like I say, if I hand something somewhere, I might have something. First of all, there must be foundation. And I'm happy Olaniwaju Michael was able to painstakingly explain that, especially with the last contributor, who was a little bit emotional about I'm on 1 naira, I must be 1 naira plus something. Why? Why should I pay you more than what you are earning? Who says you are one more, you are what you are worth somewhere else? The foundation basically is about who you are, what are you, what can you offer? And I'm happy I'm also trying to link it with my presentation when we talk about politics in workplace. You have to build something on something to get something. The foundation, first of all, is who you are. When you are at the beginning of your career, you may not be in a position to negotiate. You may not have what it takes you to negotiate what you want. And that is why what Michael Riley said, build yourself first. In fact, some people do what I call a voluntary job. They volunteer without earning a dime. They know what they are doing. They are not stupid. They are building up their profile. They are making up themselves to be more viable, to be more marketable, to be more viable as a commodity. If labor is something we can say is sellable. First of all, be competent, be skillful, and at the same time, have the good civic employee behavior and character. And also engage yourself in learning activity, just like this platform for mentoring scheme. I must sincerely thank the organizer, Oluyemi Adeosun. How many people are outside there to render such a very viable, I'm not representing the presentation, but I think I need to actually share little with us. As soon as I'm going out of the time, just signal to me so that I'll be able to round it up. Because the presenter has actually done a good job, but there is no presentation that can be all inclusive, especially within the short time given to individual. And that's why contribution of this nature is very vital to make up certain area so that make it a complete orientation. So first of all, you must be able to be competent. Employer does not employ you because they want to hand up number. They are not NGO. They are not charitable. It's a going concern. And as I always say, what is a company in Latin word? Company. People come together, let's bake the bread. If you don't have the skill to contribute towards the baking of the bread, lo and behold, you have no salary to earn because you have no business in their business. And because there's no business in their business, you have no business to earn their pay, which is part of their resources, what is their revenue. Number one is get yourself fully equipped, competency, skill, character, attitude, and what have you. Your first job might not allow, first, second, third job might not allow you to negotiate as such. Then number two, the other one is immediately you have the skill in your chosen area, HR, accounting, supply chain, operation, on what have you. Now you can now know what they call an applied negotiation skill. In negotiation skill, there's what we call negotiation principle. We call it LIM, like, intent, and must. I like to have 1 billion as my salary, either daily or weekly or monthly or yearly. But can employer pay it? Question mark. If an employer cannot pay what I like, then what is the intent? Let's say like is 100%. Intent, when you want to get job, you want to change job, you want to make a turn and what have you, is maybe I want to earn maybe about 20% more than what I'm earning now. If that is not happen, what of maybe 50%, maybe 70%? You must have that in mind as a skillful negotiator. Like, intent, and must. So that is that. Then number two, when you are also going at a point in your career, when you have arrived, you are the one they are being sought after. You are the one they are being looked after. Now, you should compute everything on Excel. What are you earning now? Both benefit in cash and benefit in kind. Put numbers on them, put figures on them. Equip yourself with all this total value of your net worth. Your net worth is what you are calculating on that Excel. If it's what they are giving you, what are there free, put it there, put money on it. If it is still they are serving, put it there. If it is lunch they are serving, put it there. If it is Starbucks, put it there. So by the time you are going for negotiation, let that figure be your basis. Because why? You are going to a new place without knowing what is happening in that place. Your job, they may like you there, they may not like you there. Your services may be required more there than where you are coming from or less. So that's why to make a risk, put something on top of it as a margin to mark up the risk you are taking in one place to another. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't continue talking. I don't want to dominate and I don't want to do second presentation. Olanwaju Michael, it shall be well with you. Thank you for having up to the knowledge of the community of practice. Oluyemi Adeosun, doing this pro bono, doing this without earning income, God will surely exponentially reward you abundantly. Amen. You will continue to be relevant. You will not fall, you will not fail, you will not falter. It shall be well with you. Once again, everybody in the chat room, thank you for investing your time, your data, your attention towards it. Surely it cannot be, you can't be the same again at any time at the end of this program you always attend. Once again, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.